Japan and South Korea, 2002. The first World Cup on Asian soil. For Nigeria, the path to this historic tournament was not a glorious procession, but a brutal, nerve-shredding fight for survival. This was a campaign of high drama, of seismic defeats, of miraculous revivals, and a ferocious rivalry with a tiny nation led by a global icon. The Super Eagles, the giants of Africa, found themselves pushed to the absolute brink by a force they never expected, George Weah's Liberia. This is the story of the coaching turmoil, the player revolt, the controversial allegations, and the one-point margin that sent Nigeria to its third consecutive World Cup. Africa's road to the 2002 World Cup was simple but unforgiving. 5 groups, 5 spots. Nigeria, the continental powerhouse, was drawn into Group B, alongside Liberia, Ghana, Sudan, and Sierra Leone. On paper, it looked like a straight fight between the traditional heavyweights, Nigeria and Ghana. But football is written on grass, not paper. Liberia's challenge was embodied by one man, George Weah, the 1995 FIFA World Player of the Year. He was playing, coaching, and often personally funding the team, the Lone Star. Weah was on a deeply personal mission to play in the one tournament that had always eluded him. For a nation ravaged by civil war, the Lone Star was their only hope, their only unity. This wasn't just a football team, it was a national dream fueled by a legend. Weah's commitment was legendary, giving them a psychological edge. Nigeria knew this would not be easy. Nigeria's campaign began under Dutch coach Jo Bonfrere, and a comfortable start was expected. Their first match was against Sierra Leone in Lagos. Nigeria dominated early, Okocha opening the scoring with a trademark free kick, bent perfectly into the top corner. Benedict Akwegbu doubled the lead, and the Eagles began their campaign on a flying note. 2 goals, 3 points, and a smooth opening. But the first true test was just weeks away. 3 weeks later, reality struck in Monrovia, Liberia. This was the moment Group B was turned upside down. In a packed, hostile national complex in Monrovia, the Lone Star, led by their talisman, delivered a shocking blow to the Nigerian giant. Liberia shocked Nigeria. Christopher Reh scored twice, Konu pulled one back, but it wasn't enough. Final score stood Liberia 2, Nigeria 1. Monrovia celebrated like they had already qualified. A George Weah-inspired Liberia, riding a wave of national emotion, sent a clear message: the road to Japan and Korea would go through Monrovia. This loss was a catalyst. It instantly raised the stakes and put Nigeria on the back foot. Next came the Jollof Derby, Ghana versus Nigeria in Accra. It ended goalless, but the match was a war of attrition. Tackles flew, tempers flared. Nigeria were happy to escape with a point. A draw away in Ghana isn't a bad result. But because of that earlier loss in Monrovia, every dropped point felt like another step backward. Meanwhile, while Nigeria drew Ghana, Liberia kept winning. Weah scored, Reh added another, as they comfortably won Sudan 2-0, this maintaining their grip at top of the group, and suddenly, Nigeria's qualification was in danger. On match day 3, the Eagles found their rhythm back again against Sudan. 2 goals from Victor Agali, and 1 from Konu, secured a 3-0 victory in Port Harcourt. This victory was a sort of resurgence. It reminded everyone what this team could do when everything clicked. Prior to their 4th match against Sierra Leone, it was overshadowed by a public dispute within the Nigerian camp. Coach Jo Bonfrere was engaged in a heated war of words with the Nigeria Football Association, NFA, Secretary-General, Tijani Yusuf, over poor conditions, lack of training equipment, and general mismanagement. Bonfrere publicly criticized NFA officials and even stated before the match that he did not think he would still be Nigeria's coach even if they qualified for the World Cup. That uproar prior to that match against Sierra Leone led to a shocking 1-0 loss at the National Stadium in Freetown. Following the loss and amidst public cry over the team's declining fortune, Jo Bonfrere was sacked. He was immediately replaced by a caretaker team led by Amodu Shuibu, Stephen Keshi, and Joe Errico, who took charge for the remaining 2002 World Cup qualifiers. By the time Amodu took over, Liberia had consolidated their rhythm and building a commanding lead. They had pulled off a stunning 3-1 away victory against Ghana in Accra, proving the Monrovia shock over Nigeria was no fluke. Nigeria was suddenly playing catch-up, with Liberia sitting at the top of the table. Coach Amodu's first World Cup qualifier was an epic rematch against Liberia. A match charged with immense pressure, tension, and a sense of crisis for Nigeria, while Liberia, led by their star Weah, was brimming with confidence and bullish on get a double against Nigeria. But this was a chance for Nigeria to cancel out the shock loss in Monrovia and seize control of the group. Liberia knew a win or even a draw would put them firmly on the path to their first World Cup. The Super Eagles delivered a commanding performance. Goals from Konu and Agali were enough, as the victory reduced the difference in points to 5 from previous 8 and gave Nigeria the belief that miracle can still happen. Meanwhile, it was during this period that a significant, highly public feud added fuel to the rivalry, the battle between Sunday Olise and Weah. In the years leading up to the qualifiers, and in the heat of the race, Olise, Nigeria's captain, and Weah, his club teammate at one point, had become openly critical of each other. Olise often questioned the massive resources Weah was controlling within the Liberian team, and Weah, in turn, felt Olise's public comments were disrespectful to his efforts and Liberia's national cause. This was not just a football match, it was a personal war between two African icons, played out in the headlines, adding a toxic edge to the on-field rivalry. The Battle of Andaman in Sudan was up next. It ended in a massive victory for Nigeria on away soil, representing their biggest away win at the time. The Super Eagles were dominant, emphatically winning 4-0, with goals from Julius Aghahoa, J.J. Okocha and a brace from Yakubu Ayegbini, one in each half. During the second half, the Nigerian bench received news that Liberia had surprisingly lost their match to Ghana in Monrovia, a result that swung the group in Nigeria's favour and put their destiny back in their hands. The coaches held off telling the players until after the match to maintain focus. The final match was played almost a month later, a reversed fixture against Ghana in Port Harcourt. Nigeria needed a win in this final group match to confirm their World Cup spot. And they delivered a decisive performance. Victor Agali opened the scoring in the 4th minute, followed by a brace from Tijani in 18th and 32nd minutes. Ghana's situation worsened when their goalkeeper, Lawrence Osei Boateng, was red-carded in the second half, forcing a field player to take over in goal as they had used all their substitutions. The comprehensive 3-0 victory secured Nigeria the top spot in Group B with 16 points, just 1 point ahead of Liberia, and booked their ticket to the 2002 World Cup. While Nigeria celebrated, a dark cloud of controversy formed. Weah publicly alleged that the final Nigerian victory over Ghana was a pre-arranged game. He accused Ghana of deliberately losing the match to scuttle his nation's chances, citing the lack of fight from the Black Stars. Weah's disappointment was palpable. For him, the dream of playing in the World Cup was extinguished, and he blamed the Nigerian-Ghanaian rivalry and alleged match-fixing. While the claims were vehemently denied and never officially proven, they remain a part of the dramatic, controversial narrative of the 2002 qualifications. Shuibu Amodu and Stephen Keshi had achieved the impossible, rescuing a campaign and delivering the World Cup ticket. However, following a third-place finish at the 2002 African Cup of Nations, the Nigerian sports hierarchy made perhaps the most bewildering decision of the entire campaign. Amodu and Keshi were sacked. Just months before the World Cup, veteran coach Festus Onebinde was installed. He radically overhauled the team, dropping core players like Sunday Olise and Finidi George, a move that created further chaos and controversy, but that is a story for another day. Nigeria's qualification for the 2002 FIFA World Cup was a story of resilience and luck. They stumbled early, were pushed to the limit by the inspirational, never-say-die spirit of Weah's Liberia, and ultimately sealed their spot through a combination of their own dominant final performance and their rivals' heartbreaking loss. It was a qualification earned not through smooth sailing, but through the twist, turns, and deep intrigue of African football. Which moment from that campaign do you remember most? Drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story.